Welcome to another exciting episode of the Business of Digital podcast, featuring your hosts, Matt Siltala and Dave Rohr. Hey everybody, Matt Siltala here alongside Dave Rohr. We're looking forward to bringing you another Business of Digital podcast. Thanks for joining us. Hey Dave.
Hello.
So, one of the things that you and I, just jumping into this episode today, one of the things that we always talk about, because we really try to bring information to the mom and pop, if you will, marketer, the marketer that doesn't have a huge budget, or the person that's brand new to this. Maybe you do have some budget, but you're brand new to all this, and we're always trying to bring that information that would be beneficial to them. And so one of the things that we were talking about was products versus services and how you market on a budget. So for example, there's lots of things that I could do to tell people with Instagram or social or whatnot, if they have products, whether it be jewelry or shoes or clothing, just products in general. It's very easy to help give those kind of people a lot of ideas on how to market themselves for fairly nothing, very cheap. But I get the question a lot on services and how you market services and how you do it on a budget, and what people can do. And I don't know if you come across the same thing or not, Dave, but this is something that I am asked a lot. And so I was thinking this would be great to record an episode where you and I are talking about this, because then anytime I'm asked by someone, I could say, go check out the episode, and it saves us all time.
Handy. You're creating content for a frequently asked question. Interesting.
Exactly. So here are my thoughts, and feel free to jump in anytime, or,
Oh, I will.
But basically, to someone that has a service, it's a little bit different, okay? And again, I'm talking services like it could be a consulting service, someone that just does audits for you. It could be someone that is a life coach that helps you make better business decisions. It could be a service that helps even businesses organize themselves better. For example, the reason I'm thinking about this one was a conversation I had with a gentleman, a friend of mine, that he basically has a service that he offers to businesses where he helps them. He looks at their business and he helps them evaluate how you could do things better. Like, you need another HR person, or you need an HR person, or you need someone doing this, and this task for you, or, hey, I'm looking at everything and it seems that you have way too many people on this end and you need more people on this end, and stuff like that. And so how does one market those kind of services, especially if they don't have a huge budget? Okay, like let's say they might have just left a good corporate job, and then they part ways. They're not seeing eye to eye, or the person just wants to do it on their own, start their own business, and again they go out in this direction, and the budget is very limited. And so the more I think about this, and the more kind of ideas that I have, and again, I don't want to, I'm not, when I give you these examples, like I'm going to give a specific dollar amount, but again, hopefully you can kind of get an idea of what I'm getting at, and whatever budget you have, kind of use it for that, but just use this as a gauge, if you will. And so a lot of times the people, and the reason I'm giving this number is because I would say probably 90% of the people that come to me that don't have any kind of budget, when I ask them, what is a number, like what could you spend on marketing? Like if push comes to shove, and what could you at least do per month? And they generally always say around $300. Now it's, anywhere, it varies from $100 up to $500, some even a lot more, but I would say in general about $300. So this is what I tell them with that. Now, obviously, let's say that you have a kid that's a good graphic designer, or you're a professor at a school, or if someone that is looking for an internship that's in graphic design or things like that. There's always those kind of options, okay, for what I'm about to talk about. But let's say that you don't. There's also cheap design services out there like 99 Designs, and there's some other, heaven forbid I suggest anyone go look at Fiverr. Dave's probably going to yell at me for that, but you know,
Fiverr,
you might find
Fiverr actually tends to cost more than $5.
well, it does, but still fits within that $300 budget.
Yeah, it does.
And so what I'm getting at is go find someone, you know, like let's say you have $300, find someone that can create you a series of images, graphics, you know, whether it, you know, you have them create stuff that will work with Pinterest, have them create stuff that will work with Instagram, you know, size-wise and whatnot, have them create stuff that'll work good with Twitter, with Facebook. They all have different sizes on them, and what's, you know, what can be utilized the best or optimized the best image size-wise. And so include what your products and services are, include, you know, motivational or inspiration, depending on what your business is. And again, like, you know, if you're like this example that I gave with the business consulting and helping you get that structured, you know, you could do images that are the top 5 mistakes, or, you know, the number 1 mistake, or whatever it might be. But basically, you can use some of your budget, create all these images, these digital assets that can be used across the board. You can use these in blog posts, okay, where you could dive more deep into the topic, but you could put them on Instagram where you talk about it, and then you can lead people to that blog post. You know, you could put it on Pinterest, you could put it on Facebook, where you lead more into that as well. But let's say you need to spend a couple months, you know, $600 creating these kind of assets. You have 20, 30, 40, however much you negotiate with a designer, where you create these images based on your information, your topics, your quotes, things about your business, your top selling things, okay? And so I guess maybe take a step back, and if you haven't got to that point, then that's something you need to get to before you get to this point. But figure out what's your unique selling position. What is it that's going to make people want to use your services? And so then once you get to that point and you get all these assets created, then that's where you can go and spend your budget. Okay, so a lot of times people get it wrong and think, okay, well, I got to start putting the images out and doing fake, like I got to do all this stuff all at once or I'm going to fail. If you're on a limited budget, you're just going to have to realize, hey, I'm on a limited budget and I'm going to have to do this thing in stages. So let's say that we spend the first couple of months creating these assets, then we can jump into the cheaper side of marketing. I know that Facebook, you know, you could start creating ads with these visual assets. Twitter, you could do the same. Pinterest, you can do the same. And a lot of these are much cheaper than an AdWords platform that's, you know, with Google or whatnot. And so, and Dave, jump in here if you disagree with me, but I believe when we were chatting about this, we both agree that, you know, if someone's coming to you and is like, I only got a budget of $300 a month for AdWords, we're going to probably lead them somewhere else. Are we not?
Yeah, it can get scary because at $300, it depends on your business. I mean, even if you have a cheap, you know, CPC, cost per click of $2 or $5 or even $1, think about how quickly that'll burn through $300.
Oh yeah.
So
and you want to try to stretch that out for a month?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to stretch it out for a month, that's $10 a day. And even if you only do weekdays, you know, from 9 to 5, you're still only talking $10, $15 a day.
Yeah.
And at $2 a click, that's 5 people. So I would look at any other number of things. And if you only have $300, I would say look at social, knowing that your reach is also going to be limited. But if you're, you know, like you were talking about business coach, you know, inspirational stuff. Okay, well, what about Instagram? What about Pinterest? People are looking for inspiration and inspiration type graphics. That would make sense. And then use that small amount of budget to create a post on LinkedIn and then promote it. You know, take those visuals and use them on multiple channels, multiple social channels in your own website, and create content around it. And spend your time and your budget promoting that content on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, Pinterest.
Well, and not to mention, there's lots of opportunities with, and again, I'm not saying go and spam Facebook groups, but there's a lot of groups out there where they allow you to share your products or services or whatever it is you're doing. So find those right groups. I mean, don't go do it on a group that specifically says, don't spam this with your products and services. Like, I'm always amazed that people do that. But there's lots of ones out there that are like, hey, this is no rules. You got something to share with us, and you're in this area, share it. Well, find those type of groups and get your products out there. I actually, one of the person that details my vehicle, I actually found through one of those groups because I was going through and looking at all the different services that people are offering, and the ad that got me was just this visual ad, and it's like, why are you paying $300 for a detailing service? I'll do it just as good for $85. And I'm like, you know what? Damn it! Why am I paying that much for detailing when I can get it from this guy for $85? And I called him up, and he came and detailed my vehicle and did just as good of a job as one of the more expensive detailing jobs that I've had. And so, again, there's ways to do that. Not to mention, and again, I bring this up because a lot of times the smaller businesses, they're leery. I don't know why still, but they're leery on being on Yelp or Facebook or whatever, because they're worried about what if a competitor writes a bad review or whatever about me. But what I was trying to, this is an HVAC technician that I was working with for a while, and I was trying to explain to them, look, you need to create your business page on Facebook, because he was like, well, I've been on Facebook and I let people know what I do, but he didn't actually have his own Facebook business page for his company. And I was like,
really?
You don't understand. Yeah, really. And this happens more than you realize, dude.
So wait, was he just posting as through his personal account?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
And so what I was trying to help him understand was, and I did this in a beautiful fashion because it worked out perfectly, thank goodness. But I was like, let's just create the page and let me show you what will happen, because someone had just happened in a group that I'm a part of, a local neighborhood group, asked the group in general, hey, does anybody have a HVAC company they've worked with? Because we're here in Arizona around, March, April, May, people really start looking for HVAC companies, because when the AC goes out and it's 105 or 110, 115, we got them on speed dial. And anyway, but so I was like, check this out, dude. So we got his business page created, and I showed him, I was like, look at these people were looking for services. So I dropped his link in there. I dropped the link to his business page on there and said, contact him through here. And this is his information. And so, of course, he sees all that, as a business owner, and I'll pay attention to this. That post alone got him 4 calls of people that needed their AC repaired, just in my community alone. And I'm like, okay, well, think about this. How many communities are there in this local area? If you're paying attention to stuff like that and you're dropping your business in there, even offering people, hey, if you're a first-time customer, I'll give you 10% off my services. That's all free, Dave. Like, that just takes time and know-how, I guess, but that's all free. They're not having to pay $500 a month to get their business page on Facebook. You know what I mean?
It helps when I'm not muted. Yeah. Well, and I can use an example, this podcast. So, feel free to go follow us on Twitter, on Instagram now. In recent weeks, I've started doing stuff on Instagram even. We're posting once a week. That's free. We just follow some people every so often. We have a LinkedIn page profile. We have a Facebook business profile. I mean, this is a podcast, and we have one for every social channel and a website. So, think about that. Think about anything. Like, we had the graphic designer create a base one time for our main photo, and Matt is better with Photoshop, so he gets to do that.
Little bit.
So Matt gets to do the tweaking, and you create it pretty quickly. We had it standardized as an easy template. We don't have crazy, like, if we ever have a guest, we made it so that we don't have to drop in their photo and overdo it. So we kept things simple, and you do those in batches of like 30 or so at a time. It takes a little bit of time, and then we're done.
Depending on how ambitious I am at the day.
Yeah. The other day you did like 50 of them. So we have plenty. I think we're almost out, though. We might have to do some more in a couple weeks. But we do that across the board, and we use the same image everywhere. So
and it works.
That costs us nothing.
Exactly.
Eventually we'll start, across those channels, then we can start targeting people and doing more. But, we're just kind of as I don't want to say side project, but, the podcast is not paying our bills. It's not my business. It's not your business, but we keep pouring more time into it and more money.
It's our way of giving back to the search community, and it's our way of contributing content, because you and I both hate blogging and writing.
Yes. And, to drink our own Kool-Aid, to kind of, promote our own content, we do that, and we will probably do it more. And what will our budget be? I don't know. But if we were to only have $100 to $300, honestly, that's probably what we would do, and what we recommend for any type of service to do is to create content. It's just cheaper to create content and promote it to people to solve their problem than it is to try to scream and pay more per click and blindly target people on Facebook or go after just keywords on AdWords.
Yeah.
I think that's viable for most businesses, but if you really have a limited budget and limited time and limited everything, I don't think that's where, for most services, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, you hit on a good point. And what I tried to as well is, you have to really understand what your product and service, understand who you're selling to and what platforms are going to be a good part, for you to be a part of. Video is super hot right now on Facebook. Video does really well. So if you have access, or if you are one of those people that can make good videos, you can crank them out. You're really good with video editing or something like that, and you can do that yourself, and it's not going to cost you any money. Then go that route. If you're really good at graphic design and you can create images, and you can create a whole bunch of digital assets that you can use for, like what you were talking about, repurpose them across the board, use them for images within blog content, use them on all across the social channels, do that. If you're really witty and you could do a good job with memes, start creating a series of memes. If you're really good with photography and anything about inspirational quotes, or if you have a unlimited amount of inspirational quotes that would go well with what your business is doing, if you're a life coach, for example, or whatnot, then these are all areas that I would start absolutely. And again, this is all free. And what I first started getting into is kind of helping you understand what you could do on that smaller budget, like $300 a month. But my point was, use it and create what you need to create, and then once you have that created, then use a portion of it, even if it takes you a couple months of saving it, use it for testing the waters on Facebook ads, Twitter ads, Pinterest ads, whatever it might be. And then you need to create a series more, of more images or video or whatever. Like let's say you want to do an explainer video and you find someone that will do it for you for $500. Well, you may need to save 2 months of that budget to do it. But then it's basically, once you figure this system out, it's rinse and repeat. And so those are really my thoughts on the subject. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts or final remarks, Dave.
Nope. I think you just gotta look. You gotta really, when your budget's that tight, it's going to be more of your time than anything. And I think that's often the hardest thing for, people to come to grips with. When you have no budget and they say they don't have time, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
yeah,
if you don't even have time and you can't set aside, money, and so you have no time and no money, yet you want to do marketing and you want to grow your business, you got to do something.
Well, I'll use the perfect example to wrap it up. Like, there's a guy that I was working with forever that was one of those telling me he didn't have much of a budget, $200, $300, whatever. And I told him, I was like, I want you to commit, and here are the things that I want you to do with digital assets that we create with, a little bit of a budget for Facebook, promotion with these images. And let's just see what happens. Spend a little bit on Instagram as well. And I was like, start it, let's just do $1,500 a month and just see what it is. I know, take less money, take less home or whatever, but just create this budget and just see what it does for you. And went back to him in a few months after doing this, and he had gotten so much more business from it. He was like, I don't know why I was scared to do this before. I don't know why I didn't put more into this or invest more into marketing. And they realized that, hey, I do have a little bit more of a budget. Like most people will come to you and they'll tell you they only have a certain amount of money, but that's what they're not telling you is that's only the amount that they feel comfortable spending. They may have $1,000 or $1,500 that they could spend towards marketing, but what they're not telling you is this is what I'm comfortable spending. And so you get them out of their comfort zone and help them realize what the potential is and what could happen with that. And then magic happens, so to speak. And I'm not saying it happens every time. Like that was a good success story, but getting it out there and seeing is, just what you have to do when you own a business. So.
And the one thing I'll say is, please don't go setting up AdWords Express and throwing $500 or $300 at it and letting Google pick the 5 keywords that you bid on for the 3 days before you run out of your budget, because that's what will happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Google, but the way AdWords Express is set up is it's set up to just spend as much money as possible, as quick as possible.
Yep.
I've never seen AdWords Express set up and done in a well thought out ROI positive way. Normally it's someone will do it for a couple months and then they burn through it, or they've set it up initially in AdWords Express and then they paid someone else to come in and for some reason they didn't switch it over and it's still kind of operating in there. So don't set up AdWords Express, set up AdWords, or just avoid it if you're not comfortable and, pay someone to do it or save up and do it. It's a tough spot to be in.
Perfect advice. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody that has taken 20 minutes out of their day to listen to Dave and I. As always, where to find us online. We are always here for you. We do our best to get back to you and ask answer those questions that you guys are asking. If there's any episodes or topics that you want us to talk about, always let us know. The best way, either comment on the blog post for these episodes or ping us on Twitter. But for Dave Rohr with Northside Metrics, I'm Matt Siltala with Avalanche Media, and we appreciate you guys joining us on today's episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Al.